All right, welcome back. I was sick in the last video, but now I'm feeling pretty much all recovered. And something that I've been thinking about, or that I realized when I was sick now, is that I really have forgotten how to rest, if that makes sense. Like, I think now rest has become this thing where you're either scrolling on your phone, or you're like watching TV, or you're always like doing something, or specifically like watching something of some kind. And what I've had, or the theory that I've had for a while, is that that's not actually proper rest, even though it can kind of feel like something that you want to do when you're tired. You're just like, all I want to do is just lay on the couch and watch some TV or something. Or you're tired after a long day and all you want to do is just take out your phone and just lie on the couch and scroll through like Instagram, do absolutely nothing productive. Just wasting time can kind of feel relaxing in a sense, because it's like very unproductive, but it's also allowing yourself to be unproductive can feel like recovery, if that makes sense, because you're not pushing yourself to be productive. So by allowing yourself to like scroll on Instagram, for instance, which is like super unproductive, really, I think sometimes it will feel like that is rest, if that makes sense. And what I've noticed, and what I tend to notice when I'm sick, is that scrolling Instagram, watching TV, watching movies, watching TV shows, listening to music, those sort of things is really not rest. And the way that I notice that is that my heart rate tends to go up. I tend to not feel a little bit like on edge when I'm unwell and I'm watching TV or doing those sort of things at the same time. Whereas when I'm doing things like meditating when I'm sick, which is like a really different kind of approach to being sick for me, like something that I've never really done before, but I started realizing that, well, that is, if you're looking to rest without actually sleeping, because maybe you can't sleep all day, that's probably ideal. If you can, try to sleep as much as possible. But if you can't sleep, then meditation is actually a really good way to rest, like deeply rest. Either just sit and do absolutely nothing, like look out the window, or just sit on the couch and do nothing. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to do anything special. You can just sit and do nothing. And to me, I really noticed that is, I feel like it was palpable how fast that type of rest actually made me feel better too. And the other thing is like reading. Reading seems to be a good activity when I'm sick. Like, it feels like, how could it be that different from like scrolling on your phone? But for some reason, I think the stimulus is slower. So you're not being as stimulated. And because you're not being as stimulated, your nervous system doesn't have to be as active. I'm just making this stuff up as I'm talking right now. But I feel like the shorter the content is, like the shorter form the content is that I'm consuming, the worse it made me feel, or the less it helped me feel better. So if I was like on shorts, reels, or things like that, then it would almost make me feel worse. Like, it wouldn't help my sickness. It would almost make me feel even worse. And I think that's to do with the fact that there's like a lot of stuff going on in your brain when you're scrolling short form content, because you're getting these like intermittent dopamine spikes. And because of that, I think the intermittent dopamine, or the up and down of the dopamine, I think leads to fatigue, if that makes sense. Like that's fatiguing for your whole system. Whereas when you take that down a notch to like watching a TV show that's like 20 minutes per episode, let's say, I think that felt a little bit more like rest, but it's still like kind of that dopamine roller coaster, if that makes sense. Watching a movie would make that, take that up even another notch to make it like a little bit slower dopamine release, if that makes sense. But the ultimate was like going to reading. Reading, I felt like was genuinely like that brought my nervous system down. It brought me into the, what do you call it, sympathetic nervous system, or sympathetic state of the nervous system. No, parasympathetic is the one that's resting. And so it kind of triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, I think, when you're reading versus when you're watching movies, watching TV shows, or watching like short form content, reels, shorts. And the next level up from that is like meditation. Just sit and do absolutely nothing. And it really helped. Like doing nothing, reading and doing nothing really helped with the sickness, I feel like. And then there's also like NSDR, so non-sleep deep rest, those sort of things. Yoga Nidra is another one. Like listening to those sort of things, like breathing exercises, really designed to take you into that parasympathetic nervous system state. I think that's a life hack. Like if you haven't tried that when you're sick, try that. And even if you're healthy, like try that during the day, because I think taking more time towards actual rest, or really learning how to rest, is very useful. Because I think most of us think of rest as like, okay, I'm just going to lie on the couch, scroll Instagram. Or even though we might not want to admit that we think that, I think that's what a lot of us actually do when it comes to rest. That's where our rest comes from, is just scrolling through our phone in some sort of way. I think very few people take enough time to rest in the deeper sense of like reading, meditating, yoga, those sort of things. And I think we could do a lot more of it. So yeah, that's a bit of a rant, but that's my, or not a rant, but my, that's my 2 cents on how to recover from a cold. All right, let's get back to the app. We don't have a whole lot left. I say this every time, but we don't. So we introduced a bug yesterday, which is that when user A ends the phone call, user B gets told, you cannot rematch with this user today. So we need to make sure that we fix that, which we'll do by going into this again. Okay, this is probably the most annoying thing about uh, Claude is that all of a sudden, once you're in a chat where it has background information about everything that you've done, after just a few messages there, it will say like, well, now you've actually reached the limit of the messages or the character count or whatever in this chat. And what that means is I have to start a new chat where I have to somehow know what to tell it so that it knows enough, yet at the same time, I don't want to send too much because I don't want to lose my chat. Oh, it's very, 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 very annoying because now there's so much stuff to paste into a new chat that I don't even know if it, like, I don't know where to start really. And I feel like it's like that every single time. It's just like, well, okay, where do I start now? Okay. I don't know. Let's. Oh, it's so annoying because I wrote so much freaking stuff. All right. All right. We're going to wait until this call has been going for 1 minute. And once it's been going for 1 minute, then we're going to leave and we're going to see on the back end if 1 minute has been added um, to the total minutes that this user has used for this month. .45 minutes remaining, which does not bode well. 45 minutes remaining. Does not bode well. Let's have a look. 5 minutes added. Perfect. Not at all. So it's not working, but we'll be able to fix that, I think. All right, let's test this out. We should now be getting the timestamps correct. So if we start a call with these two, it says that we have 40 minutes remaining, and we're going to wait for 1 minute so that the duration should go down to 39 minutes left this month when we leave the phone call. If that happens, then everything should be set correctly on the back end. For some reason, it seems like the dates were set incorrectly. We can actually check that right now. So we can see the calls, and we can see that we have a call here. Well, has that not been created? Calls. Okay, so we have a lot of calls now, but let's see. Fuck. So it wasn't fixed. So as you can see, for some reason right now it says 10:43, 10:50, 10:23, 10:50, but the actual time is here, 12:25. No, that's updated at, but the actual time is something completely different. Why on earth does it say 2 hours prior? I have no idea. Fuck. All right. I don't know. It's like almost 3 p.m. And I've been sitting way longer than I thought I was going to, and I haven't had lunch yet. But it's been super frustrating because this issue of essentially what's been happening is when we create a phone call in the database, this has all worked before, but for some reason right now, the created at timestamp is set to 2 hours prior to the local time for whatever reason. The updated at timestamp follows this time zone or whatever, so it stays correct, if that makes sense. But the ended at timestamp is set to my local time. So that means that no matter how much I try to talk to Claude here to try to fix this, it just keeps being set to my local time, which is like 2 hours later. So each phone call is always 2 hours long. And it just doesn't work that well. But now we've added some logging to our Superbase, which should, if all goes well, it should give us some indication of where the issue actually occurs. Because I'm sort of leaning towards now that it might be the client side, that we might be sending some sort of timestamp. I don't think we should be, but you never really know. So that's what we're testing, I think. And we'll see what Claude says about the output. But I'm going to have to stop soon because this is just taking way too long. And I think I'm going towards the place where I'm getting too, like, digging myself into a hole where I'm getting hungrier and hungrier and more tired, more exhausted. And it's just the solution to the problem is sort of like on an inverse relationship to my fatigue, if that makes sense. The more tired I get, the further away the solution will move, and the more effort it will take to get there. So rest is always a good thing. All right, now we're going to test it and see if it works. It seems like it might have been the client side that was the issue, which it makes a lot of sense because for this particular chat, I didn't include the client side code with Claude. I just didn't think it would make sense because I felt like, well, that on the back end, but apparently we've set it on the front end. So we're now changing that. Hopefully it will work, but we'll see. So the new call is added and it all looks good. Created at 12:43, updated at 12:43. It doesn't have an ended at timestamp yet. So we're gonna wait until that is created, which it will be when we end the phone call. So in 15 seconds, we're gonna see if it works. My eyes are like tired from just looking at the screen all day. All right, let's leave. Hope that it works. 28 minutes. Seems like it works because it says that we have 28 minutes left. Perfect. Let's go to the back end. Reload. 12:44. And created at is 12:43. Finally, the freaking time thing works. Let's go to our users and just reset their times. Total time. Okay. Set that to 0. Set that to 0. And then 22 minutes. But that is going to be 0. And that's going to be 0. Okay. Fuck, it works. That's so good. We solved that issue. So let's have a look at what we did solve today. Bug when user A ends the phone call. Okay, we did actually manage this too. I forgot about that, but we did. Limitations in the call. Make sure that the minutes get added on the back end. It does. Don't rematch users for 24 hours. Seems like that works now. But we'll have to test it actually. This. Okay, at least we solved that issue, and that was a big one and very important one that we actually have a timer that works for our phone calls. Otherwise, the users could just run rampant with the phone calls and use up all of my minutes on Agora. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go now because I need to probably gonna have to go have a nap actually. But I'll try to make sure to eat before that. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one on Monday.